So Zhiyun sent me the Molus B300 to test out, and after using it consistently for a few weeks now, here's not only my thoughts on the light, but a walkthrough on how I use it to make this creative interview setup. So yes, this is the Zhiyun Molus B300. It's a super bright bicolor light, and this is the box it comes in. In the box is pretty bare bones. You have the light, the reflector dish, and the power cable, a few manuals, and that's pretty much it. But I think that's actually one of the best things about this light is how minimal it is. You know, you don't need a big camera, you don't need a light ballast, light power brick, or anything like that. You just plug in, plug to a power source, and you're good to go. All right, so we are at the location now. We're gonna be making an interview setup. I'm gonna try something slightly different with like some color contrast, but we'll get into that later. The first thing I do as soon as I get into a space like this, when I'm gonna do like an interior for an interview, talking head, just even for my own YouTube videos, anything I'm doing, you always wanna make sure you look for depth. So I'll take a tour around the room, I'll look both ends, I'll look all around where the audio sounds best, where are the windows coming in, where's the most interest. So it's a very white blank space in here, but we do have a snooker pool table. We do have a nice long sofa, a TV there. So there's a few things around that will create some sort of depth. So looking around, it's very plain. But as I said, I want to try something slightly different with this interview and make it more stylized by having a high color contrast. To do that, we're going to be changing the white balance, we're going to be changing the colors on the actual key light, which we'll get onto. But the first thing I do, once I decide how I want this to look, is get the camera in place. So I currently have the Sony FX6 with a 50-1.2 on the top. I've got a monitor for the monitoring the camera, but also have a wireless monitor, because when doing this kind of thing, especially by yourself, you don't want to keep going back and forth to the camera. So I have these Holyland Pyros, and that just allows me to have a wireless feed of what the camera's seeing, so I don't have to keep adjusting and going back and forth from the camera to the lights, to the chairs, the decor. But what I want to do here is just get my framing. I want to kind of work out, if I press record on this, now you can see what I'm seeing. I just want to work out where it is my angle. So I know I want to shoot in this corner. There's the most depth. We have the subject in the middle of the room. We have the windows coming on, so it's like a nice backlighting there. Pool table, the back. So let's put an ND on. So once you find your angle, so I want to say for now, we'll stick with something like that, I want to say. You then want to expose for the room. So what I'm going to do now is turn off these lights. I'm not going to keep them on. They are a horrible tungsten color that I don't want to use right now. So I want to expose for those windows and ensure they're not like how they were when I first came on. So you see, when I don't have the ND filter, it's completely blown out. All the information is lost. So I want to go to about there. A small bit of clipping, but nothing too major. And I'll lock it around there. I think that gives me a good amount, maybe a tiny bit more. So that corner of the room is on like the third. Yeah, perfect. So from this point is where I then start to add lights. The first thing is obviously establish where the subject is going to sit. I'm quite limited on like stools and seats in this place, so I'm going to have to use this big green thing, which isn't ideal, but I think, and this is where the wireless monitor comes in handy. I think what we want to use is something kind of like this. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good as a wide shot. Little tip, when you're using these stands, always control the top one first. Adjust the height of the top one and then do the bottom one second. Just because if you do it the other way around, these can go really high. So if you start from the bottom, you end up needing to adjust it more, and they're all the way up there. So just a little tip there. And so this is for the key light. We'll now actually get to the key light, which is the main part of this video, and that is the Zhiyun, the Molus B300. Very powerful bicolor light. I've been using this for quite a few weeks now just to really get my hands around it. And yeah, just start to get into the ecosystem that they're starting to offer. I first heard of Zhiyun when I got one of my first gimbals, the Weeble 3 or the Weeble S3. It's a great light that you can use to get the exact results you're looking for. and that's it. Like, that's all you need for the light. You know, a lot of other lights, some other brands, you have the big heavy light, you have like a big power ballast or something, and then you plug it in. So it takes up a lot of space, whereas this is literally all you need. So these are the general specs of the light, but there are a few things that do stand out to me. So of course the first one, as I said, being so easy to travel with, but it also has something inside called the Dynavort cooling system. And it's like a smart cooling system, because I notice it doesn't turn on when the power is only on like 20%, but as soon as it kicks up and starts to get warm on 50% plus, you see the fans start to kick in. So there's three main ways to control the light. You have the dials on the side, you can use the app, or there's a remote controller you plug into the USB-C port. And then finally, one last super cool thing about this light is actually the lighting defaults. So on the app, I can choose custom different modes and it automatically adjusts the color temperature to match what those modes are. Alternatively, when using the dials on the actual light, you can actually change the light settings in increments. So if you press the brightness dial, it actually goes up in increments of 20%. So each time you press it, it gets brighter and brighter in those increments. And in a similar way on the temperature dials, when you press that in, it also goes up in different increments. This makes it super useful when you're trying to dial in things quickly. You don't need to keep going in increments. You can just press it, snap to 20%, 40%, 2700 Kelvin, or straight to 5500 Kelvin. You know, there's the basis that's set there. So we've slightly adjusted the camera angle. I've taken a little bit of the negative space from this side to add a bit more stuff here. Just I thought there's a bit more things going on. You can actually see the snooker tail a bit more. I might just cheat the balls a little bit further, just so you can see them better. But I'm liking the kind of rule of thirds look that I'm kind of facing here. So now we're going to fine tune the key light. I'm going to turn these lights back off now that we've got everything set up. Something you want to bear in mind when you're filming interviews, when you're filming talking heads, there's a imaginary line between the camera, the light, and the subject. The light is always on one side, the camera is always on the other side, and they never go on the same sides. So the light is coming, so if you look like in between the gaps in here, so if you look at me here, the light is coming onto Chelsea from her right. So the camera is going to be slightly to her left. So as an interviewer, I'm going to be sat in the middle of that so that I have the best form of shadows onto her face, also the amount of depth, because if it was the other way around where, just if you look this way, and then I'll just take this off here for a sec. So if I was to go this way, it's a lot more flat. You know, there's no shadows at all compared to filming this side. And so if you look back there, having those shadows just create that interest, more depth, and just a more pleasing image. And now is when we start to create the color contrast I was mentioning. So I'm going to drop this light all the way down to 2700 Kelvin. And you can see we've now given Chelsea a lovely tan, glowing orange. And then on the camera, I'm also going to lower the white balance. So I get closer to that orange, about 3900. Have a look at that. So we still have more of that warmer orange glow, but in the background, it's now instantly without a color grade. This is just a Rec 79 image you're looking at. We now have that color contrast already because there's normal daylight coming from the window. Our camera white balance is set to 3900. So because of that difference, we're automatically getting that color contrast. Our camera is closer to the white balance of the light. So though it's not quite the same, which is why it's still warmer, if I was to drop my white balance all the way down to 2700 Kelvin, we can see the subject is now in that daylight look, but the background is very, very blue. And that's a bit too much of a contrast. That's not quite what I'm going for. So I want to have something in between that. What I might want to adjust more is the spill. So on this, with this light, with this softbox that I do have, again, from Zhiyun. Oh my goodness, this is bright. Sorry, you've been looking at this. And this is only, what percent are we on? 47%, is that bright? Wow. What I might want to put on is one of these. So this is like an egg crate, honeycomb grid, different names. All it basically does is just stop the spill. So this light, although it's a softbox, it's very soft. It's shining light all in this area. So in here you can see I'm still receiving that light from here and I'm not in shot. So I'm not the subject. We're getting all this spill on the background, which is going to bounce off. We're just getting a lot of extra spill. So if I put this on, we can now see instantly, one, the light is dimmer, but there's significantly less spill in all of this area, all down here. The light is much more focused. So yeah, now we have a lot less spill. Chelsea pops out from the background significantly more just as that warmer subject in the cooler background. But because it's darker, I will make it brighter again on the app. So following that, what I would be seeing is brightening it from here, there, 100%. And that's pretty good to me. So the second light I want to add in is actually this, again, Zhiyun. It is the CX100, and this is tiny portable battery powered light. How they have so much power into just a small package, I have no idea. It's definitely my new favorite light at the moment. But yeah, we're gonna add this in the background. I'm actually gonna add this with a spotlight mount. So as I was saying, obviously very useful. The camera's all the way down there, but I can adjust what I want. Looking at the image here, I'm gonna take this off for now. It's too structured. Let's, cool, don't want to drop that. I want a bit more randomness, so keep it authentic. Pretty weak break. Yeah, little pockets. See that difference? Just looking in like this whole area now, this just has more going on. So now if we look at a clean shot without me in the background, that is where we're at. So just to wrap up, going through everything we have the key light is a Zhiyun B300. That's in a softbox with an egg crate grid. We adjusted that using the app down to 2700 Kelvin, the brightness at 100%. And then coming around the side, we have the Zhiyun X100, the CX100, and that is adding that extra bit of light there. This is a default look with just the house lights. Then we'll turn the house lights off. Then we have our key light. And then finishing to get a little bit of depth, we have that slash coming in the background. And that is a 2-light interview setup. So I've been using this consistently for a few weeks now, and I have to say I'm really happy with the results. You know, the light is bright enough, it's color accurate, it works well, the app works well, it's easy to control, it's easy to get the things I want to use for a light, and you just can't really complain. But like with any product, it isn't perfect. You know, there's a few things that I wish they could have changed. So the first thing I don't like about light is actually the size. And let me explain. When big lights like these don't come in a travel bag, it just makes it a little bit more frustrating for me to travel with, because I'm just conscious I'm gonna break it. You know, it's not that I know the light's not good enough to travel with, it's just I don't want to break it. So I need to figure out different ways to be able to make it safe when I'm traveling with it. You know, I usually, when I'm going on shoots overseas, I'll always pack at least one big powerful light, a small softbox, and this would be it because it's light. But how do I maybe wrap it in my t-shirts? Or I'm worried like small things are just gonna get inside the fans and start to damage that from just being loose. So yeah, I just wish there was a better way to transport the light. Although it has that USB-C port on the side, it doesn't come with anything to plug into it. So it says there's a remote controller that you can control the light with, but it doesn't come with the light. Well, at least not in my box anyway. And although it's great having the phone controls, it's not ideal for that to be the only way to use the light, to control the light. And obviously, yes, you do have the dials, but once you have the light on the stand, it's high up, you can't really reach the dials. Yeah, there's loads of reasons why relying on your phone isn't the most ideal situation. So I do wish it did come with an included remote controller, especially because, as you can see, it's quite a small remote that, it's not like a massive thing that's gonna take up an extra bit of space. So it'd be nice to have that included just as stock, because yeah, you don't always want to be relying on your phone. Which leads me on to my last tiny point, which isn't major at all. But the screen, the small LED screen that shows you, the brightness and the color temperature, I just wish that was on the bottom, because a lot of the time your light is high up. So with the screen being where it is, it just means when you're looking up the light, you can't see it at all. So it means you do have to rely on your phone or just try and guess, because you can't see at all what the settings are, what color temperature it is, because yeah, it's at the top. Other than that, I love it. But again, this is me just being very picky. I do think, honestly, from using this light, the stuff you can get, the stuff it can do, and for the price, I think this is one of the best lights you can get. So that is pretty much it. Let me know what you think of the light down below, what you think of the looks, what you think of the light in general. Are you looking to pick one up? Are you looking for a light? Just drop a little comment, help a brother out. But with that being said, I hope you've got a lesson, laugh, or light bulb moment. And if you have, I'd appreciate if you drop a like down below. And if you're feeling nice enough, you could hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. See ya.